Hello you guys and welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here. Today I'm going to be doing another MLM fails and a little update. This Friday, unfortunately, I am going to be getting my top 2 wisdom teeth out. I got my bottom 2 out when I was like 18, 19 years old, and now it is time for the top 2. So wish me luck on that, and hopefully I can prep a bunch of content for you guys because I am going to be out of work for a week because of it. So hopefully I can get videos prepped before my wisdom teeth come out so that I can have those videos ready for you guys for this Friday and then for next week's 2 videos. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. If you want to send me MLM fails that you want me to react to, you can send them over to me on Google Drive through my email. I always will leave my email in the description down below on my MLM fails videos where you can send me the MLM fails to react to. I know a lot of people like to send me MLM fails in DMs. I'm able to access the MLM fails much easier when they are actually sent through that Google Drive because I get a specific email notification that I can always reference back to. And then with Instagram, just DMs are always getting lost. So I feel like I'm not able to go back because sometimes I'll accidentally like swipe out of someone's DM and then it just disappears and then I don't even get to see the content that you want me to see. So I definitely recommend if you want me to actually see the thing that you want me to react to, definitely make sure to send it over to my email. And all of these videos today I actually got through my email for my MLM fails. So thank you guys so much for sending them over. So with that being said, let's watch this first video. This first video is about 6 minutes long and the audio is a little messed up because I had to mess with it a little bit because this individual had music on in the background. So I had to like mess with the audio to get the background music to go away. But with that being said, let's get into this one.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about what they talked about in church today because I thought that it was really awesome. And they talked about basically like your legacy that you leave behind and how you need to be like intentional about it. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want to be remembered by? Like, what do you want to leave your family? And I think I know a big reason why I started my business was because I want to leave a legacy for my family. And I want to be able, like, God forbid something happened to me. I don't want to leave my family with a bunch of debt. I want to leave them with abundance. And I don't think people understand in this generation that, like, you do leave things behind and people don't think that far ahead into the future. And I think that it's great.
So I do think that people think that far into the future, and in general, multi-level marketing companies are not going to be the way, in my opinion, that people are going to be able to leave a legacy or to be left behind in no debt when statistics show that most people who join MLMs make no money or lose money, and some even go into debt doing it. So in my opinion, I feel like joining an MLM is going to have more of a negative impact on majority of people than it is going to have positive. So I do understand where she's coming from with the whole wanting to leave like this legacy behind and wanting to find a purpose and all of that stuff. And that is definitely like an amazing thing to think about. But I do think a lot of people think about it nowadays more than they probably ever have because of how much it's talked about in 2022. People are constantly talking about starting businesses and opening multiple streams of income and stuff like that, and talking about things like debt and actually teaching individuals about those things because they're not talked about in our education system. So I definitely feel like that's something that people are already talking about, but I don't feel, in my personal opinion, that MLMs are going to be the thing to leave that behind for people or to even leave them in a state where they won't be in debt.
I'm not someone who will ever have kids. I don't want kids, but I want to be able to do things for, my mom, my other family, friends, you guys, anything. I want to be able to leave a fucking legacy, and not just a financial legacy. I just want to be remembered as a good ass person and someone who just went for it. I want to inspire people. And that's why I'm always so open with you guys. I don't sugarcoat things. I'll never sugarcoat things. And I'm just raw and unapologetic all the time because that's the type of legacy I want to leave. And starting my business it's going to make my legacy that much better. What do you want to be behind? And what I mean by that when I say that my business is helping me create my legacy is I felt very hopeless. I didn't feel like I had a purpose, you guys. Like, I didn't feel worthy of even walking on this earth before I started my business. And you guys all know that. I'm a 2-time college dropout. I struggled holding a job because of my mental health. And the most experience I have is working at a fucking tanning salon. And now here I am. I haven't clocked into a 9 to 5 since I was 23, 24. I forget. I'm 27, like I said, but I'm just saying that, like, I did not feel like I had a, and if you don't have a purpose, you feel like you're not going to leave anything behind. Even though I know people care about me and stuff like that. I think that people look at me now and they're like, oh my God, she's so happy. She's doing well. Like, blah, blah, blah. You guys have no fucking idea where I started. I didn't start this business because I was confident in living a life of abundance. I started because I had absolutely nothing and I had been homeless for years, couch hopping with no job, nothing to my bank account, nothing. Hopeless, had lost my faith completely because I was playing the victim. Why God? Why God? Why God? And he put this opportunity. I prayed for years for a sign, for hope, for something. And God put this business opportunity in front of me, not just to help my bank account, but to save my life. You have no idea. Shampoo bitches are the strongest people I have ever met in my entire life because we started for a deeper reason.
So first off, I do want to say congrats to this individual for getting herself out of that situation that she was in, because it couldn't have been easy. But with her kind of talking about her story and kind of where she was before her MLM, she said that she was very hopeless. She had no purpose. She did not even feel worthy of walking on this earth. She had dropped out of college. She was struggling to keep a job because she was really struggling with her mental health. And then the fact that she was homeless, like couch hopping. So this is how majority of people join MLMs. If you ask anybody who's at the top of an MLM, or if you watch any person in an MLM on their Instagram stories or their team calls, or especially their recruitment videos where they are trying to recruit people, 99% of them are going to say things like this. They're going to say they were hopeless, they were struggling, they had no purpose, they were struggling financially, emotionally, mentally. There's something that was going on that someone was able to prey upon that got them in the MLM. And I really feel like that's the saddest aspect of most civil marketing companies, the fact that MLMs will specifically target mostly women. Like, the demographic of MLMs, if you break it down, has over 50% of women in it. And the fact that out of those women who are in a vulnerable situation, only a very small percentage will see that financial success is appalling to me. The fact that they would go after those people. But it's what we see time and time again. MLM reps will use these stories. They will use their story of kind of where they were before their MLM as a way to try and be motivational and to show people that they could do it too. But when I look at these stories now, I find that these stories, all they do is prove what I and others have been saying for a very long time. The fact that people in MLMs target vulnerable women, and that's the general group that they target, whether it's stay-at-home moms, whether it's military spouses, whether it's women in college, whether it's women who are only like 18 years old and don't even have like a full-time job yet. Maybe they just got into college, whatever it is. MLMs target very vulnerable groups of women. And MLMs and MLM reps will use the promotion of time freedom and financial freedom as a way to target those very vulnerable people, because they are more likely able to convince those people, the vulnerable people, into joining their MLM because they're in that vulnerable spot, normally seeking things like purpose or financial freedom, community, time freedom, the ability to travel when they want, etc. So I feel like after they end up recruiting these people into the MLM, most people find themselves struggling to recruit, struggling to sell products, while the uplines will just tell you that you're not working hard enough. And in the end, the FTC and Monat's own income disclosure statement backs up the fact that majority of reps will never, ever, 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 ever earn a livable wage or enough to even make a savings account. And in Monat in general, they earn an average of of $800 a year, not including expenses. So unfortunately, these very vulnerable groups of women will end up in an MLM and they will end up leaving with nothing to show for it. They will end up leaving because they're in debt or they're struggling to even spend time with their family, etc. So in my opinion, I feel like MLMs really target this group of people, and this individual has pretty much just solidified that, showing the fact that she was in such a vulnerable spot that while yes, it's cool that she was able to get out of that because of her MLM, but at the same time, how many people under her aren't going to be able to get there too, that are going to join thinking that they could make it just like she has, because she's using her story to recruit them. So she's probably going to be able to connect to a lot of women that are kind of going through the same thing she was going through before she joined her MLM. And how many of those people are not going to be able to make that livable wage or be able to make enough to have that time freedom or financial freedom, or to be able to really find a purpose where they are able to quit their jobs or retire their spouses? And it's most likely not going to happen for most people, as we see from the FTC, where they say most people lose money, make no money, or go into debt per Monat's income disclosure statement, or they say the average person makes, I believe it's $876 in a year, not including expenses. So how many people are actually going to be able to get out of that vulnerable spot they were recruited because of?
You're scared of being that girl. Bitch, I'm scared of being that judgmental girl who is even making up the term being that girl. I am scared of not being that badass bitch who went for it. That's embarrassing for people to even talk down on someone who's starting a business, to turning their social media into a money-making generator so that they can better themselves and their family and their future. That is embarrassing for people who judge and even say the term, I don't want to be that girl. Ew, you are that girl for being ratty and sassy and a bully. I'm not that girl. I'm a strong ass fucking warrior who at the point of no return saw the light and found a way to heal myself. Makes sense. So next time you want to talk shit about somebody, or, just be a shady human being or anything like that, just remember and ask yourself, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Do you want to be the positive, optimistic person who went for it and who makes people feel good? Or do you want to be the person who's constantly talking shit and playing the victim and living in a world of negativity? You choose. What kind of legacy do you want behind? I know what kind of legacy I feel damn good about.
That was a lot, but she pretty much said it's embarrassing for people to talk down on someone just trying to start a business and trying to turn their social medias into a money-making generator so they can benefit themselves, their family, and their future. The problem is most people won't be making their social media into a money-making generator while they're actively in a multi-level marketing company. Most people who actually join MLMs lose followers, lose engagement, and lose friends and family even following them due to the fact that they are actively cold messaging people and doing things like, oh, when you make a post on Instagram, you end up DMing everyone who liked your photo or commented on it. You end up DMing everyone who actually looks at your Instagram stories. So what ends up happening is, if you don't already have a huge social media following, I'm saying like 50K followers or above, if you don't already have that with a very loyal, engaged community, then most of the time you're never going to be able to make that out of your social media. You're just going to end up losing followers. So if you're someone who has like 1,000 followers or 2,000 or 3,000, you're probably going to find yourself in a situation where you actually start losing engagement and losing followers because you're having to do the things that MLMs want you to do, like cold message, which this MLM Monet, based on what I have seen, has shown that they constantly do this. They constantly cold message. They constantly DM people trying to recruit them and stuff like that. So that's normally what ends up happening. Again, unless you already have a very large social media following with a already engaged community, it's normally where people can kind of use their loyal following and manipulate them into joining their MLM. And then most of those people end up not making any money. But in general, most of the time, it's not going to do that for the majority of people. I also don't think that the term "that girl" is really meant to be used in a negative way. Normally people, especially here on YouTube, use that term in a positive way. They normally are talking about, oh, that girl is a girl that normally lives like a healthy, aesthetically pleasing lifestyle. But let's say that someone did use this term as a way to talk about like, oh, I don't want to be that typical MLM girl. When I think about that girl, when I was back in my MLM, honestly, I don't want to be that girl either, because MLMs tend to involve what is called an unattainable lifestyle, where they focus a lot on hustle culture, where you are spending all of your extra time working, messaging, you're selling to friends and family, you're recruiting others so that you can benefit and make money off of them. You're being love bombed, you're being gaslit by your own uplines in the company itself. You're being manipulated due to your own personal vulnerabilities, as this person has already stated, her vulnerabilities when she joined her MLM. And ultimately, MLMs involve the act of most people losing money, making no money, and going into debt. So anybody who knows the truth about multi-level marketing companies probably doesn't want to do that to themselves, because they know the truth about MLMs. So in my opinion, I feel like if someone is using the term like, I don't want to be that MLMer girl, I feel like it's probably talking about that, like talking about the generic hustle culture and cold messaging and all like the icky things that go on within MLMs. People are probably not actively trying to attack a specific MLM rep who's like currently in an MLM. So I feel like that's probably what the person was talking about, that she is kind of mentioning when it comes to being that girl. If someone was actually like sitting here and attacking a MLM rep, being like, ew, I don't want to be her, I feel like that is really rude and shouldn't be happening. But the way that this individual stated it, it makes me feel like she was just talking about like the generic way MLM reps go about multi-level marketing companies that people don't want to be involved with. Okay, so this next individual is actually in Beachbody, and it's about 12 photos. So this individual just got back from the Punta Cana trip that everyone just went on. I believe that's how you pronounce it, but the trip that they were allowed to go on because of the Success Club trip. So I have talked about the Success Club trip, but it's been a very long time since I mentioned it. And because they just went on the trip, people were sending me a lot of top fails that happened on the trip. So I thought that I would specifically talk about this individual and how they are trying to recruit someone off of coming out of that trip. It's about 12 photos of this individual talking about recruiting. So let's see what this individual has to say. So it starts with saying, sometimes you need to do something new and uncomfortable. It was 2013, postpartum with blank. I'm not going to say their child's name. Postpartum with blank, laying on the couch about to nap while she napped, when I got a message from my coach about a community of women all working on common fitness goals. I was tired, a new mom, not myself, and lost in who I was outside of being a tired mom. It was a full-time job in and of itself, but I needed a goal. I craved adult conversation, and I craved a why. What was going to be my thing that would allow me to have an identity other than being the caregiver of our family? So I feel like so far when this person's trying to recruit, she's doing exactly what the person's video we just watched did, where they're kind of explaining what their story was and who they were before they joined their MLM in order to try and connect to a certain vulnerable group. And most of the people who join MLMs were also in a very vulnerable spot when they went to join. Like the person before this we talked about, this person was a stay-at-home mom, just had a child, and being a stay-at-home parent is one of the hardest jobs that you could possibly have. So she was in a very vulnerable spot when she actually ended up joining her MLM. So now she's going to be able to do what Beachbody likes to call recruit the person you were before Beachbody. So keep that in mind if you are someone who's watching my video for the first time. This is a common tactic that is used. It's called, recruiting the person you were before the MLM. So you will kind of cultivate this story where you can connect to someone enough to end up recruiting that person because their story connects so much with yours. So that's a lot of the times why people share their story, because they want to truly connect to someone and hope that someone else is going through that same thing so they can kind of reel them in that way. Her next slide said, I nervously dove into committing to working out in our tiny living room space during nap time and choosing to learn what clean eating was all about. I seriously doubted if a workout at home was really going to make a difference. I lost 6 pounds in 7 weeks, gained confidence, strength, energy, and an excitement for life again. So here she kind of showed what would be called a common objection. So in MLMs, they like to call when someone says, hey, I don't want to join because I don't have the time. In MLMs, they call that common objections. It's common things that people say when they don't want to join your MLM or can't join your MLM because they don't have the time or the money or the resources. So this person kind of tried to give that common objection of, oh, I doubted if a workout at home was really going to make a difference. And then she added in the fact that she ended up losing weight weight, etc. So it's definitely something that happens a lot in MLMs where they really want to cover all of those objections or all of those common objections that they get so that those objections can already be hit on before they even talk to somebody. Okay, so here is another story, and it kind of is put into a question that her upline is asking her. So it goes, why don't you try coaching? You already love it so much. Then she said, the response to that question from my coach was a no. Then when she asked again, I said no, thank you. But on the third conversation about coaching, I thought maybe I'll just get a discount on the products. The truth in saying that versus yes, let's give coaching a shot was definitely protecting myself from failure. I didn't want others to see me fail. She just pointed out the fact that when she did join Beachbody, she only joined as a customer when she started out. Then after a while, the Beachbody rep, aka her upline, the person that recruited her, as a customer, decides to ask her to join Beachbody. And she ended up asking her 3 times before this individual actually said yes. So this is a very common thing with Beachbody. Something I've always heard when I was actively in Beachbody, and I still hear when people send me things to react to, is that customers make the best coaches. And that is exactly what I heard my whole entire time in Beachbody. And that pretty much means that, oh, if someone signs up as a customer and they get results, those people are the best coaches to have. So you need to recruit them. So it's very common that if you sign up with Beachbody to just try the products, that eventually you will be hounded over and over and over again, like this individual. It's actually joining as a rep to sell the product and actively recruit people. This is why when and if people ask me if just joining for the discount is worth it, I'll always say it's not, in my opinion, because first, the products are extremely expensive for Beachbody compared to the market in general when it comes to fitness products, like pre-workouts or post-workouts. But secondly, along with the products being expensive, when you do join just as a customer, with what Beachbody teaches their reps that customers are the best coaches, you are literally going to be a hub of people that are going to be recruited in the end, or that your upline is going to try to recruit in the end. So in my opinion, it's just not worth having to deal with, because that's actually how a lot of people get recruited into Beachbody is they'll just sign up for the product, or because they don't want to tell their friend no, so they'll just like buy a product or whatever, but then they will continually be hounded to actually join the MLM because Beachbody teaches their reps this, and I have actively seen it. Keep that in mind. It's a huge recruitment tactic. If someone in Beachbody asks you, oh, just buy the product or join this challenge group, that most of the time that's just a way for them to end up recruiting you at the end of the day. So the next photo says, but what if I fail? I know, girlfriend, I was nervous too. So again, here's another objection she's trying to hit before even having to talk to people. The problem is that even after all of these slides I'm about to read, she doesn't even share an income disclosure statement or anything like that. She doesn't share the actual statement that Beachbody says that you need to share to show that most people who join don't even make over $3,000 in a year. So that's interesting. So the next slide says, but I saw others living it and I was ready to see my life change, and I knew in order to see change, something had to change. So all in I went. 8.5 years later, 8.5 years later, and our lives are forever changed. Working on my time, home with my babies, friendships I'll cherish forever, and financial and travel freedom. So this means if we actually do some quick math, we see that this person actually joined Beachbody in 2014. So based on my personal research of Beachbody, I believe they became an MLM back in 2013 to 2014. So this means that this individual was one of the first people to actually join Beachbody ever as an MLM rep if they started in 2013 to 2014. So when I talk about the fact that a certain group of people are always going to have the upper hand in an MLM to actually be more likely to be in that top 1% earning the livable wage, joining at the beginning of an MLM starting is one of the top ways for someone to have a better chance of getting in that top percent, along with, having a large social media following. That's another thing I talk about. If you have a really large social media following where you already have like a large group of people who are loyal, engaged followers, you're also going to have a better chance of recruiting a crap ton of people right away. But joining at the beginning of an MLM is a huge factor in who gets to the top of an MLM or not. So this person has already had a leg up over all of the 400,000 plus reps that have signed up to this day. The next slide says, you're worth of the life you want and deserve, but you have to work for it. What's the worst that could happen? happen is what I told myself. And the answer was, if nothing else, I got a discount on the products and got in the best shape of my life. So that whole like statement of what's the worst that could happen is such a common thing that reps say. It's actually what I said. I told myself, I was like, okay, this individual has asked me month after month after month. She has asked me for 4 months to join her MLM. What's the worst thing that could happen? Or I didn't even know it was an MLM, but I knew that she was trying to actively get me to join something that had to do with working out and stuff. So I asked myself, I was like, what's the worst that could happen? Let me just try it. Then I ended up spending 2 years at an MLM, wasting my time, wasting my money, and losing over $5,000. You can lose a lot in multi-level marketing companies. I talked to a lot of people who have lost friendships, who have lost family, who have lost a lot of time, who have lost money. So there are a lot of things that you can actually lose in a multi-level marketing company. She then said, you want to learn more, want more time freedom, side hustle, full-time hustle, get in shape, build friendships in a community, and so much more. Let's chat and see if it's something that you want to hear about. The next slide says that Wednesday night at 8 p.m., there will be a webinar opportunity to listen in to myself. And I wish I actually got access to this call, but I did not. But it says that a few others and myself will, in the Beachbody organization, will be sharing why this opportunity is worth pursuing and why social selling has become so great for people who want to have a side hustle. I hope that they showed income disclosure statements and the actual odds of people making money in MLMs, but maybe not. She then said that, did you know 80% of women earning over so far figures yearly are social selling? I think she messed up on what she was trying to say there. There are no obligations, just seeing if our stories speak to you in some way. I know my life and what we are able to do is forever changed by this opportunity. And after a week working remotely with my team on an earned vacation, I want to share with the world. The next slide says, slide the bar all the way and I'll send you a link to our coaching webinar that she only has 5 passes, so serious inquiries only. Just to let you guys know, 5 passes, that's not a thing. They can recruit as many people as they want to recruit in the MLM, and they will. But I want to go back to where she said, the fact that she just got back from the Punta Cana trip. So she's trying to use this trip as a way to recruit people. And let's actually talk about what you need to do to go on this trip. Is it all inclusive? Do you need an invitation? Does everyone get the opportunity to go? And is it really an all expense paid earned vacation? This is about to be long, but let's get into it. So because this trip just happened, I wasn't actually able to get the links to the information about it, but I was able to get the links to the information about next year's trip. And every year it works the same. So in Beachbody, every year the Success Club trip, so the trip where they go, to a different country, every year it's pretty much the same. The requirements are the same, the prices are the same, everything's identical, because what's happening now with the trips are literally identical to what I seen when it came to qualifying for these trips when I was in the MLM years ago. So it's the same, just saying that. So I'm actually going to be sourcing and looking at the trip for next year just because it has more information on the trip that's coming up, and they shut down all the websites for the trip that already happened. So I'm not able to actually show you guys specifically that trip, but I can still show you guys this one and just know it's pretty much identical. Everything, including the price of the hotels and all of that stuff, is pretty much the same. So first off, in order to actually go on this trip, you have to be invited and you have to go through a qualification period. Within this period of qualifying, you must maintain what Beachbody likes to call Success Club in order to have the opportunity to get invited. So 5,000 people end up getting invited that are in Beachbody. So you have to maintain Success Club and do everything else that is needed within qualification to even potentially get an invite, or to be those 5,000 people that do get an invite. So if you don't know what Success Club is where you have to, every single month, you have to do this every month. It's not just a one-time thing. So every month, in order to be in Success Club, you, number one, have to sign up 3 or more new reps or customers in order to hit Success Club that month. So on top of signing up 3 or more people a month, you have to stay active. But in order to stay active every month and to be in Success Club, you have to have 90 PV or more on auto ship, which means you're going to spend about $100 a month on products for Beachbodies. Keep that in mind during qualifying. You have to sign up 3 or more people a month, and you have to actually buy $100 worth of product every single month. So once you are invited to go on this trip, guess what you have to do? You have to pay a $300 non-refundable trip fee. It does not matter how you try and get your money back. This is non-refundable. They do not care if you had a death in the family. They do not care if your plane fell out of the sky. They do not care. You're not going to get a refund unless they have to personally cancel the trip themselves, which they did give refunds because of COVID when they had to cancel the trip. But if you have to cancel and you've already paid the $300, you are not allowed to get that money back. They don't care. So from there, when you actually pay your $300 non-refundable fee on top of staying active every single month and doing all of that stuff, you will actually have to choose a room, like a hotel room, when you are invited. So the hotel rooms range from $1,480 all the way to $7,190, depending on the room that you choose. So when it comes to the hotel rooms, if you're not one of the first people or the first hundreds of people that get invited on this trip, these rooms are going to start to like sell out. You're not going to be able to choose the rooms that are cheaper. They're going to end up getting more and more expensive because the rooms are going to fill up. So keep that in mind, that when it comes to choosing a room, a lot of the times, if you are one of the last people to get invited, you're not really going to have a good chance at getting the cheaper room or the room that you want. Are these hotel rooms paid for? So that's another interesting thing about Beachbody, is this is supposed to be all inclusive and an all expense paid trip. Well, so far it is not, and it's not about to be. So when it comes to getting your rooms for free, mostly everyone is going to have to pay something out of pocket when it comes to paying for your room. So in order to actually get money put towards your room for this trip, you have to earn what's called Beachbody's trip dollars. So per Beachbody's FAQ, trip dollars are credits that all coaches can earn and apply to the room cost of the Success Club trip. All coaches begin earning trip dollars on January 1st, and then they're able to earn it until the end of qualification. The maximum amount of trip dollars a coach can earn is $1,300. So if we go back to the room prices, they start at $1,480. So even if you do everything you can to earn the maximum trip dollars for Beachbody, you can only earn max $1,300 of, Beachbody trip dollars. So you're still going to have to pay something out of pocket. So the way that you can actually earn trip dollars is by hitting Success Club every month. So you have to, again, actively sign people up every month, and you actively have to stay active every single month with 90 PV or more in order to attempt to get these trip dollars. So in the end, each rep can only earn, like I stated, up to $1,300 worth of trip dollars, and everything else will come out of pocket. So if you end up having to get the hotel room, that's $7,190, but you get all of those trip dollars, you just have to subtract $7,190 from $1,300, and then everything else you have to pay out of pocket. So say you do earn the $1,300 trip points, and then you do choose the room that is the cheapest, the room that is $1,480, you will still minimum be paying $480 out of pocket due to the $300 non-refundable fee and the leftover cost for the actual hotel room itself. So I know I didn't really explain much about how to earn these trip dollars, but to just make it really simple, in order to earn the whole $1,300 that you can put towards your hotel room, you have to sign up within a 12-month period. You have to sign up minimum 52 people, whether that is signing up 52 customers or signing up 52 MLM reps, like 52 recruits. So keep that in mind, that in order to even get access to that $1,300 to go towards your hotel, you're going to be signing up 52 people in a year period. So with all of that being said, most people have to pay a very large portion of that hotel room because they're probably not going to be able to get over 52 people to sign up within a year to get that $1,300 trip money. And then on top of that, you have the $300 non-refundable fee. Then you actually have to pay for your flight. So you have to get yourself to that other country through the flight, through having to pay for the taxi or bus or whatever it may be. And then you have to stay active every single month just to attempt to even be invited on this trip. So to you and to me, does that sound like an earned vacation? No, because it's not. In my opinion, it's not some all-earned trip or this exclusive, I earned it, I pay nothing out of pocket trip. In my opinion, these trips are just a way to try and convince social media that it was an all-expense paid trip, when we sure as heck know that it isn't if you have to pay for transportation, hotel, along with things like non-refundable fees, and having to actually stay active every single month, having to spend $100 every single month on products to even attempt to get invited, then to spend even more money on transportation and the hotel room. So in general, it's a lot. So with that being said, I think I only have time for these two. I've been talking for a very long time. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it wasn't many MLM fails that I went over. I have so many more to do. So I will probably film another one for y'all before my wisdom teeth removal. So you may get another MLM fails this Friday because I just have so many that I could did go over. I just always want to explain in detail everything that we need to talk about when it comes to these MLM fails, so they end up being really long. With that being said, don't forget to leave a like and a comment and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Live a healthy lifestyle or are aesthetically pleasing in their everyday life, or are aesthetically pleasing. Wait, what? Aesthetically pleasing. Oh my gosh. And because of that, I feel like MLM's, something I see this person doing, and shaking the thing. Customers make you're able to, and it is not some earned all exclusive. It's not some